Thank you for joining me today. So today's video is a Q&A, and I'm really excited to share some of the answers that are responses to the questions you've sent me. So I'm going to jump right in. So this one is from Noah Espoir 22. Dear Chimi, I have a question for you regarding fat on a raw vegan diet. The beautiful Annette Larkin seems to thrive on a high-fat diet where others swear that a low-fat diet is the way to go. What are your thoughts on fat, especially high-quality raw fat? If we need it, how much? Can we still eat high quantities of fruit with fat? Thank you for all that you do. Love from the Alps in France. Much love to you. Now from Thailand. We're in Thailand. We're back in Thailand. Love this question. I have a deep respect for Annette Larkins. I have read her Journey to Health books. First booklet, second booklet, third booklet. So I do speak from experience of reading her material to answer this question. I think Annette Larkins, and I would love for her to answer this question a bit because she's had a lot of experience. For those of you who don't know, Annette Larkins has been, I think, raw for almost 30, if not over 30 years, raw vegan, and has been thriving on this diet and looks amazing and has incredible health, or seems to. So her Journey to Health book number 3, which I would refer you to, is actually wonderful because it walks through a day in her life, kind of her food diary. I think it goes through 7 days of her food diary. And I bring that up because you mentioned fat. And I think it just brings up such an important point about how, for me, and I believe also Annette Larkins would agree, it's way more important. The fat thing is not as important as the idea of eating nutrient-dense, vibrant foods. So when you look through her food diary, when I looked through her food diary, read through her food diary that she presents in Journey to Health, she has days where, most days, she doesn't actually break her fast till noon or later. She may eat 1 or 2 meals a day. There's one day where she completely fasts. And she's focusing on eating foods that mostly she grows and that are so full of vitamins, minerals, and are bursting with vitality. Lots of sprouts, lots of greens. She has some fruit juices also and some fresh fruits. But I don't really, to be honest with you, when I was reading it, I wasn't thinking this is a high-fat diet at all. What I was thinking was this is a vibrant, nutrient-dense diet. She's not eating bags of nuts or lots of oils necessarily, and I know her recipes as well, so I think I can speak and say that confidently. I think her diet is just very nutrient-rich and healthy. I definitely recommend being very watchful of eating fats and sugars, high fats and high sugars together, especially processed sugars. But even in the case of fruit, not eating a lot of fruit with a lot of fat in the same meal. That is one thing that I would say. And I definitely believe in getting high quality raw fats, even if you're doing cooked fats. So that looks like omega-3 rich seeds like hemp seeds and chia seeds and flax seeds. That looks like avocado, that looks like durian, that looks like coconut. So thinking about whole food sources of fat and high quality fat, I think you're totally right about that. That is key. If you feel sluggish, here's another thing. If you feel sluggish after eating a certain quantity of fat, back down. I don't really count my fats, I'll be honest, but I don't also eat a ton of them, and I definitely pay attention to eating fruit by itself and then eating my healthy fats with my greens, usually as my dinner meal. So thank you so much for that question. And again, much love to you in the Alps. Second question, Fruity Pants McNuts. Hi. I had the wonderful opportunity of meeting her in Thailand last year. And she asks, hi Chimi, can you tell us what nutrition studies you looked at that confirmed for you that the plant-based diet was the best diet? Thanks for this question. So the plant-based diet I don't even know if I've ever announced on my channel. I'm very leery about announcing things like this is the best diet. So I don't think I've ever said that. I know that it's the best diet for me. And I know that as a physician, it's the diet that I recommend basically across the board to my patients. And that's because the top killers, the top diseases are cardiovascular disease, they are diabetes, they're issues of the vascular system, they're chronic disease, and a plant foods diet, and again, a whole foods, healthy plant foods diet has been shown in multiple studies to be extremely healing, if not reversing some of these diseases. I can't go through all of them, all the studies in this video. So what I'll do, I'll put several links in the description down below to studies that you can check out. And also I'll put a link to my Performing Healing website in which I review how fruit does not cause diabetes and actually is protective against diabetes, and how plant-based diets can be helpful for this issue. So check the links down below and educate yourself on this. I think that the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine is also a wonderful resource, and you can find them at www.pcrm.org. I'll put a link in the description box below also. Next question. This is from Nature Girl. Dear Tumi, thank you for this beautiful video. This comes from, I think, I don't know, I'm sorry, which video. Can I ask you how many calories you eat normally? Also, I stopped hormonal birth control recently after using it for more than 7 years. Would love to hear your thoughts on recovering a healthy cycle and the role that food has to play in that. The cycle question, Nature Girl, I'm going to do a whole video on our moon cycles, that is for women, and how diet, food, but also things like mindfulness, herbs, other aspects of holistic health play a vital role. So stay tuned for that video. As to your questions of how many calories I eat, I have no idea. And that is because I don't count my calories. I haven't in years. And it's for the same reason I don't weigh myself. Those numbers don't really mean very much to me, and they're not helpful. And in fact, I think for many people can be actually harmful in knowing how and what to eat. I say that because we are ever-changing, ever-evolving beings, and on a daily basis, I'm changing how much exercise I'm doing and movement I'm doing. Yesterday, I'll give you an example. We were traveling, so I was fasting. I dry fasted during our trip. So my calorie count was nil. Today, that's going to change completely, and I did a lot of movement today, my dance class, so that's going to change. Also, all calories are not made equal, so just telling you how many calories I might eat in a day is not an accurate reflection. But I would get away from the whole number thing and actually start eating more in an embodied way, like I spoke about in my last video on intermittent fasting. You can check out that video. Eating more in a mindful way, when you start listening to your body and paying attention, eating mindfully, you will know when you are full and when to stop. And that will change depending on your activity level, depending on if you're a woman on the time of the moon, of your moon cycle, depending on if you're pregnant or not, depending on your hormonal balances. It varies widely, so I can't give you a number, but I will say that, again, I've said this before, I eat till I'm full and I eat when I'm hungry. And when I do that, I'm choosing whole food sources from plants. That has served me really well. I hope that's helpful to you. This question comes from Julia Lichtblau. I hope I pronounced your name okay. Thank you so much for your videos. I recently started medical school. Okay, great. So we have segued from the diet questions to medical school. And I've gotten questions like this before, so I'm really thankful you reached out and asked this question. I recently started medical school, and let's put it this way. I struggle a lot with Western medicine. Myself being vegan and really aware of my body and health, I find it hard to believe that we don't really seem to learn anything really about nutrition or more mindful living. Yeah. You give me hope and motivation that it's possible to have a more holistic approach. You have no idea how much your videos mean to me. Thank you. I would be more than happy to hear more about your time in school and your experiences working as a physician. I might do a whole video on this. I do want to give you, though, because I've had this question before, a couple of tips on navigating medical school when you are more holistic minded, when this is your focus. One is to search out like-minded people. They are there. I was blessed to have friends who are like-minded, and finding that community I think can be so helpful. It doesn't even have to be people in your class. It can be online, which is more and more available to you now. Self-care, self-care, self-care. This is vital, whether you're in university or medical school or studying anything in graduate school. Having time and carving out time to re-energize yourself, to fill up your well, so to speak. Dance class, people would say to me, how are you dancing, going to dance class and performing and also being in medical school? Dance class saved my mental well-being when I was in medical school. So doing whatever it is that refills you, that fills you up, is so key in medical school, I would say. I would also say that it is extremely important in the summers between medical school to really actively search, because during medical school it can be very intense. Search for things to fill in the gaps that you see in your medical knowledge. So I went to the Amazon during the summers of during one of the summers in my medical school time, and I studied with herbalists, and I studied with a shaman, and I studied with people who are looking at and really masters of holistic medicine in other forms, and this was incredibly helpful for me in supplementing my medical school curriculum. And then afterwards, I went to IIN. I studied at IIN, and that's the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. There was a lot that I did after medical school, but within medical school, I would say self-care, finding like-minded people, and using your summers in ways that supplements your curriculum in a way that feeds your soul and that is aligned with your philosophy of healing. So that's just a tidbit, but I think I'll do a whole video. And if you're interested in that video, please leave a comment below and ask me questions on what you'd like for me to talk about in that video about medical school and being a physician, a holistic physician, if you'd like. Awesome. So that's a medical school question. We now are segueing into hair. So this is about, I have two questions on locks, and I wanted to address this. Stacy Borman commented or asked, do you use a hair dryer for wet hair to avoid mold, etc.? I only air dry, but I live in the tropics. Fantastic question. I now basically live mostly in the tropics, 9 months out of the year, or 6 to 9 months out of the year. And we rig it so that we're basically in warm climates throughout the entire year. So I air dry my hair. But I lived with locs for 10 years in New York City and a winter in Paris. So I'm familiar with being in places that are not tropical and in which there might be low sunlight. I would absolutely recommend, in that case, using a hairdryer, especially if your hair is thick. There were some times I got away with it. In fact, I actually didn't own a hairdryer in New York. I just would time it so that I would wash my hair, like really wash my hair when there was going to be sunshine. In New York, actually, you can get away with that because there's actually quite a bit of sun. There were definitely days, though, where it took my hair all day to dry because of lower light. And I would say if you're in a place where that's just too hard, or you're washing your hair in the evening, I would just invest in a hairdryer. And then the last question for locks is from Tawana Murchison. Tawana says, beautiful locks, thank you. I have a question. I'm only 1 month into my journey. Congratulations. And I am considering freeforming. My question is, how often do you retwist, or do you retwist at all? Will the hair lock at the root eventually, even if you don't retwist? Fantastic questions. I don't retwist at all. I haven't retwisted my hair in, I think it's five years, or I don't remember. It's whenever I told you that my freeforming journey began, and I've had locks for 20 something years, so thinking back can be hard. It's 5-6 years, I believe, freeforming, and I just stopped retwisting and I never retwisted after that. So I originally did not start my locks freeforming, but I will say, I know this from other freeformers, is that your hair, and now my hair has been freeforming for years, it will absolutely lock. And this is the case even if you have different textured hair. If you give it enough time, your hair will lock. Our hair just naturally loves to marry together and interweave with each other, the strands of our hair. So it will lock. Just give it time, and it's a beautiful process, whatever your hair texture is. I love freeforming. I just want to put that out there. And if it feels good to you, if it resonates with you, give it a go. I had a question before also that I can't find now about if you could retwist after you freeform. Yes, you can absolutely start retwisting again if you find that freeforming doesn't work for you. I don't have that story because freeforming has been amazing for me. But if you're somebody who says, well, I'd like to try freeforming, but I'd like to go back if it doesn't work for me, you can absolutely do that. So that's all the questions I'm going to answer today. I hope you enjoyed the video and you found it useful, one or all of the questions to you. If you like the video, I want to say one thing. So in the raw vegan questions or the vegan questions, please check out my webinar. I did a 1-hour webinar on how to be successful and stay successful on a raw vegan diet. This webinar will also be applicable if you eat a cooked vegan plant-based diet. So check that out. I will leave a link to that webinar in the description below or somewhere here. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with anybody you think might benefit. Subscribe for more weekly videos if you want to. And as always, much love to you. For those of you who are in the States, have an amazing Thanksgiving Day.